question from the economic geography. It is one of this question is associated with one of the locational theories in geography, that is industrial location theory. Discuss Weber's theory of industrial location. Also analyze its contemporary relevance. So when you will start looking out the question, then you will find the question has been asked in two parts. So the answer should also be having the two part. The first part is discuss the theory. So discuss industrial location theory. And in second part, it is asking you to write about its contemporary relevance. Now, what should be written in introduction? There are various ways to write the introduction. One way is to directly write about the industrial location theory. But I would suggest that rather than directly starting and writing the industrial theory, it will be better to give some background. So, in introduction, you can write that Weber's industrial location theory is one of the three locational theories of human and economic geography. The other two theories happens to be the von Thunen's agricultural location model and Christoller's central place location theory. Weber has given this theory to suggest that where the industry should be located. So Weber's idea, Weber have propagated this idea to suggest the location of the industry. In fact, the Weber's whole research and then writing is simply based on how the Germany have transformed from agriculture to industrial revolution. So industrial revolution was going on most of the places where earlier agriculture was being performed. Now it has been replaced by the industrial activity. Within that backdrop, the Weber has given this concept, that is industrial location theory. But as far as the concept is concerned, so concept is to only suggest that where industry needs to be set up. Weber has given this concept in 1909. So almost in earlier part of the 20th century, he has given the concept. And this question is still very relevant even after the almost 114 years. So after 114 years, this question is still very much relevant. Whenever somebody wants us to establish an industry, they will have this question in mind, that where to set up the industry. And one more important thing, that when the Weber have set up this industry, Weber was settling up the industry, that where the industry should be located to earn the profit. So Weber have set up the industry that is a profit making industry. Profit making industry. Weber have multiple options, because Weber have seen that some of the industry have been set up in the area where already some raw materials like coal is present. But some of the centers have been set up away from the coal, nearby the market. So he was just trying to find out the optimum location of the industry, where industry should be set up. Weber have presented his theory based on three different elements. Obviously, directly he hasn't considered the three elements. The first element he has given his theory is based on transport cost. The cost is very important in the Weber's industrial location theory, and that is why his theory is also referred as the least cost location theory. So the costing is very important in case of Weber's theory. So the first cost he has considered is transport cost, because the Weber have considered that most of the things will be constant. The only thing that is variable is the raw material. So raw materials he has categorized in two broader categories, ubiquitous category and the localized raw material. Industry's location will be based on the localized raw material. Within the localized raw materials, he has categorized that the raw materials can be weight losing weight gaining, foot loss. So weight gaining raw materials are those raw materials whose weight will decline when you will use in industry and you will get the final product. So the final product's weight will be lesser than the weight of the raw materials. In some of the cases, the final product's weight will be higher than the raw material. So that is your weight gaining industry. But some of the final product's weight will be same as the weight of the raw material. So that is your foot loss. Like most of the metallurgical industries like the iron and steel industry is a classical example of weight losing industry. Then you will have the sugar industry. Sugar industry is also a classical example. When it comes to modern day, some of the electronic industry, earlier it was the breweries industry, even present time period also, the breweries industry, the distillery industry, these are the examples of weight gaining industry. Some of the industry, like one of the best example is cotton textile. So cotton textile, we have oil refineries. So these are the examples of foot loss industry. So there are different localized raw materials, and based on that localized raw materials, because most of the thing is constant, and he considered only one mode of transport, and the transportation cost, transportation rate is also fixed. Because he is talking about the fixed transportation rate, fixed transportation charges per unit raw material. So the only thing that is variable in the model of Weber is distance of the raw materials and the manufacturing center. So based on that, he simply considered that the industry will be set up where there needs to have a lesser distance traveled, depending upon that whether it's a weight losing or weight gaining or foot loss. So for the weight gaining, he suggested that industry should be located near to the market. For weight losing, it should be set up near to the raw material. For foot loss, industry needs to be set up in between. In fact, if you will look out, most of the breweries industry, most of the distillery industry, you will find that most of the breweries industry, most of the distillery industry, even till today, is located near to the market. When you will look out, most of the metallurgical industries, iron and steel industry, sugar industry, you will find that these industries are located near to the raw material. When you will look out some of the oil refineries, textile, cotton textile, you will find earlier they have been set up in between. But now in the contemporary time period, even these foot loss industry also showing tendency to be set up near to the market. Even some of the modern weight gaining industry like automobile industry, very good example. Electronic industry. So automobile industry, electronic industry is located near to the market. So this was idea of the Weber. Weber have changed, or you can say modified his idea. Earlier he has considered that everything is constant, but later on he agreed that labor cost can be lesser. So in some area there can be a cheap and skilled labor. So if we have existence of some area where cheap and skilled labor is there, so this cheap and skilled labor will attract the industry. So he has come out with the concept of isodepane. So based on the isodepane, he has identified some of the area. So he has identified some of area where extra spending on transport cost will be less than the savings on labor cost. So there exists some area where extra spending on the transport cost will be lesser than the savings on the labor cost. So overall production, cost of production will go down. So these areas have been referred by the Weber as critical isodopaine. Critical isodopaine. So later on he has also appreciated the second component, that is labor cost. So transport cost, labor cost. In fact, later on he has also considered the third aspect, agglomeration effect. Agglomeration effect is a kind of effect where the industry will get benefited from the already existing industry. So new industry will have tendency to be set up in the area where already you will have the industry. So like a new IT industry, the entrepreneur would like to set up the new IT industry in Bangalore, in Pune. So some other industry like automobile will also be set up in the Bangalore. So that is only to get the benefit of agglomeration effect. So this is what has been suggested by the Weber. Now, coming to the most important part, that is relevance, contemporary relevance. In case of contemporary relevance of Weber, as I said, that whatever has Weber have suggested to a very much extent, it is correct. But there are very good examples. Some of the good examples that you can look out, like industrialization has started in the West, and over the period of time it has been culminated in USA. So USA has become a industrial hub for most of the manufacturing, be it your automobile, be it your electronic goods, electrical goods, all these. Over the period of time, cost of production in USA have increased. Cost of production in USA have increased to so much, and also competition has become. Now the competition was very tough, so all the companies were trying to attract the customer. अब वो attract कैसे करेंगे? To provide the some of the profits, some of discount. But how they will offer discount? Because if they will offer discount, over the period of time they will not be able to sustain their company. So they were trying to find out some of the places where the cost of production could be lesser. And in the meantime, the Mexican government has offered in the border area of USA and Mexico. So northern Mexico, some of the zones have been set up, industrial zones have been set up, which are popularly referred as maquiladoras. So maquiladoras have been set up. This maquiladoras is like a area in northern Mexico that has been provided, some grants has been given by the government, tax rebate will be given by the government. So the industry of the USA can go and set up their manufacturing over there. And the most important part, most of the labor that is working in this maquiladoras, their rate is almost 1/10 what they are being paid in case of what the companies were supposed to pay in case of USA. As most of the companies of USA work on JIT, that is just in time. Just in time. So once they will get the order, so might be the center, the manufacturing, the company's front office located in California, they will take the booking, and once the booking is being given, then it will be sent to the maquiladoras, and immediately the car, the fridge, ACs will get manufactured. So this maquiladoras has started in 1970, is a classical case of labor cost, is a classical case of Weber's labor cost. The maquiladoras have started growing, and this has grown till last decade of the 20th century. Then suddenly this maquiladoras have started losing some of the company. Now the question rises, why? Because new center has been found out. So the new center has been found out, and this center is what? China. So the China has become a global manufacturing head, is a classical example of the Weber's industrial location theory, because the China offers even cheaper labor cost in comparison to the maquiladoras. So the labor cost in China is much cheaper. On top of it, it is also having the well-developed port hinterland connectivity. And on top of it, China itself is one of the biggest market. So based on all those companies, American companies, Western companies, all those companies have shifted their manufacturing from this maquiladoras to the China, and this is how the China has become a global manufacturing hub. So in a way you can say that the growth of the China is very well associated, or this idea of the Weber is very much relevant in case of this growth of China's manufacturing. So all these things you can write. In case of India, as far as India is concerned, so definitely most of the industries are being set up, located based on that. But one thing that you need to understand, that if it is only labor cost, then why not India? Because India also offers a very cheap labor cost. So why the India is not growing to that extent? Because the other factors, and most important, is port hinterland connectivity is missing. So supply chain is one biggest constant in case of India. So this is how you can approach this question.